Show me the money.
All right, showing the money. NFL picks for week number 14 are here. Joining me today, the unofficial co-host of this podcast. It's been almost 2 months since he's been on. It's way too long. We have to get him back in the mix here. Will Schneiderhan is here. Will, how are you?
Good, man. Good. Happy to be back after a little sabbatical, right?
Yeah, you took a little hiatus doing your own thing. Now we're back here. We picked a good week to come back talk about the Jets.
Yeah, definitely a little movement in on that front.
Yeah, a little bit indeed, but just to set the scene here, I mean, we were talking about Jets-Raiders last week. Raiders coming that game 7.5-point favorites. I swear this was a roller coaster ride the whole way through.
Yeah, it's funny, I even when I do it on my podcast, I don't try to speculate on firings and stuff as much. I try to really think about the game. So I've actually found myself even amidst the fact that the Jets could lose out and get the first pick and stuff, part of me in that game is holy crap, the Jets might win this game. That I was kind of as a fan for a minute, yeah, let's go, let's get this win. But I mean, even before I could still myself on the fact that the Jets were going to win and I was excited for the win. Yeah. Next thing you know, Aguilar drops the ball in the end zone. Jets go back on the field. Then the Raiders get the ball back. Ruggs. I mean, it was I'm just okay, whatever. The game's over. The Jets lost. I just had to go away from it.
Yeah. Oh, and just for people who reference it, I do have the call of that play, courtesy of CBS's Spiro Ditas. So here is the replay of that game-winning touchdown.
Jets coming. Carr put some air under it. Wide open is Ruggs for the touchdown. Miraculous.
I'm going to cut him off there because I don't think this is specifically miraculous because this was moronic on the Jets' part because we go through this game. They're going back and forth. Jets grab lead 2 minutes to go. The Raiders don't convert on 4 or 5 fourth down opportunities but the 9-yard line. Jets go 3 out. They get the ball back. Like you said, the shot to Nelson Aguilar makes, and then for some bizarre reason, Gregg Williams decides, I'm going to send the house on this play and leave undrafted rookie Lamar Jackson on the fastest guy on the team, Henry Ruggs, and we saw how that worked out.
Yeah, I just want to shout out Lamar Jackson. If anybody is throwing any hate and slander his way, just as in general from that whole game, Marcus May said it. Listen, I have no problem speculating on someone who's kind of already lost their job. That's kind of my theory. If they're out of the building, they're out of the building for a reason. So Marcus May was you gotta put us in a better situation. Yeah, that's unfair for that rookie. All game, he was on an island by himself. And so if Lamar Jackson's listening to this, man, you got a fan right here. I know it wasn't your fault.
Yeah. And props to Lamar Jackson, too, for actually going on the post-game Zoom and answering questions about that call because he could have easily just ducked that.
Seriously, I'm not even joking. This kid was when I did a few mock drafts for the Giants. I actually was putting him in there. I know he went undrafted, obviously, but he was a guy that I've kind of known, kind of kept my eye on because he can play a little bit. And you see him make plays around the ball, and I think he's a guy that can definitely be a good piece for this team. So, if you're a Jets fan who passively watches, and that was your first time watching him, that wasn't his fault, man. It really wasn't. I don't know many corners who are going to, go hip to hip with Henry Ruggs on a double move on one-on-one coverage, and it's going to end the right way.
Yeah, and we were talking about it on the day of the game when this happens, and we're in our group chat with Martino Puccio, another friend of the podcast, talked about it, said, you know what, this team is serious about winning. Gregg Williams is going to get fired the next day, and sure enough, Gregg Williams gets fired the next day, and we saw the media go out and, hammer him, which, he should have. That was one of the dumbest calls in the history of football to blitz on that situation. But why do you think that, first of all, start with Gregg Williams, your thoughts on the firing?
It's like what you just said. This is something, what we've learned from the Jets, and whatever it may be your opinion on it, they don't really like to do firings in the regular season. It's how they operate, right? It always seems to be at end of the season is when you reevaluate and go. So for them to do this with him now, someone was obviously very pissed off.
Yeah.
And rightfully so. I don't, in my opinion, they're speculating on it. Somebody obviously had to vouch for Gregg Williams to bring him in, which is fair. You give him a shot. He's had success where he has been. but he has also been in like at the back end of whatever success he had. It always ends pretty ugly, doesn't it? With Gregg Williams, it's never, it doesn't feel like most of his prior stops.
He bounces around quite a bit.
Yeah, most of his prior stops don't seem to be very sending him bouquets, like throwing bouquets at his feet. So, him getting fired is something where, there was no way he could show up to work this week and have that room and have, a guy like Marcus May on his side. It's just that they're probably rolling his eye. Okay, yeah, coach, you got it. We'll do it. So I think it's something that you definitely had to. It was the right thing to do for the pulse of the team.
Yeah, the accountability factor here, because obviously, like, the coaches are not trying to lose, and that was just moronic by Gregg. You can't send the message of, we're going to do that. He'll be back, but he's coming in anyway. But the question I think I have, and all the Jet fans have is like, Gregg Williams obviously got the heat he deserves. He got fired, and his defense was not doing great before that. But why isn't Adam Gase getting the same kind of heat? Because at the end of the day, he's the one who has to prove that play call. He could have just told Gregg Williams, no, we're not blitzing here.
See, this is my thing with Gase, just in general. Like, I think from what I have gathered from him and like seen in Miami, he is a guy who, I don't know if he's just entrusting the guy, like from all accounts, he doesn't really he's not involved with the defense as much. Okay, whatever. That some teams are like that. I get it. But you're right. In that situation as the head coach, you kind of would like to see him be like, whoa, okay, no, guys, just drop, man 3 deep or some cover, just man up deep, prevent, whatever. But he seems like a guy who okay, Gregg Williams made the call. That's his job to make the call. So that's his call. So, I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest, I'm not going to sit here and be you sing the praises of anybody, Adam Gase too. But at one point, if I'm Adam Gase, I'm trying to coach this football team in the offense. I can't be worried about you have to trust your defensive coordinator in that situation, in all honesty. And I just think really it was just such an egregious error by Gregg Williams, and that's it. I truly believe that. Yes, Gase could have jumped in and vetoed it for sure, but I do understand. I see the other side of it where it's dude, his job is to call the defense. That is not my job. His job is to put the defense in the best place to succeed. And obviously, from what has transpired, Gregg Williams didn't do that.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. But my point is this. There's 10 seconds left in the game when that play is snapped. And what could you possibly be working on that's other than, we have to keep them out of the end zone and win the game?
I completely agree. I completely agree with both sides. And trust me, I could see where it's okay, that you trust your defensive coordinator to do it. But I definitely see both sides of it.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem, and it's definitely something where, you feel for the guys in that room, because obviously all us fans saying, tank, lose every game, get Trevor Lawrence, but the coaches don't want to lose because they're not going to be here next year to get Trevor Lawrence.
The players don't want it.
The players don't want to have 0-16 on their resumes. They don't want to have that. So you understand them. They're trying to win. So when something like that happens and they had a win taken away from that, I would be pissed off too.
Yeah, it's like you said. I'm one of those people who I hate the idea of tanking. I really do, because it doesn't work and it doesn't exist. To me, even you saw it with the Philadelphia 76ers and stuff like that. Not to go on a rant here, but tanking, there is very minimal circumstances where it's proven to work, but there's way more circumstances. Example, Patrick Mahomes in Kansas City, where you're constantly going to the playoffs and you still get that guy. So I hate the idea of tanking because, like you just said, players don't do it and coaches don't do it. So the people who us as fans are saying are tanking are not tanking. So yeah, like you said, man, that's like Marcus May. He was gutted. Dude, he wants that win. You don't want to be 0-16. You want to get that win and see what happens and see what momentum brews from that. And Frank Gore, remember, didn't Frank Gore say earlier, hey, if this is my last go round, I'm not going out 0-16. It's just not happening.
Yeah, it's definitely not. And they're 0-12 right now. They're still in possession of that top pick. They're going to Seattle this week. Jamal Adams' revenge game coming up here. They're big underdogs. I don't think either of us took this game this week. It's the first time I haven't picked against the Jets. They've been more competitive, but this is definitely another loss on the way.
Yeah, here's my one thing, though. That Seattle defense is against the Giants, they played well. I'll preface it like that, but that Seattle defense is not good, specifically through the air. And kind of what Of course, Mims it might not play this week, right? Isn't that the news?
Yeah.
He had a family emergency.
Yeah, family emergency for Denzel Mims. He might not play.
So, unfortunately, you don't get to see him. Great rookie. I'm excited about him. But Perriman, Crowder, you got those guys. Like, they've kind of moved the ball more in the air where I could see this game being slightly more competitive than most people are assuming just because, like, that defense is just – the secondary, they get torn up through the air. They really there's not much pass defense there. Specifically because the guy they pay to play safety is only effective when he's around the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, we'll save the Jamal slander here for a little bit later, but like I think the number for this game is they're 2 touchdown underdogs. That feels about right. Is why I didn't touch the number this week.
No, yeah, it's gonna. I can't imagine the defense really making enough plays in this one, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's not going to. Let's go to the pick. Is the reason why I'm here. Our good friend Sam DeRosa was here last week. She had a 2-1 week. She had the Packers laying 9.5. They won the game against the Eagles. Carson Wentz got benched. She had the Bills laying a 2.5 in Glendale against the Niners. They won that game handily. And she had the Steelers laying a 9.5. Tough break because the Washington football team came back to pull off the upset. So 2-1 week for Sam.
Not bad. In that last game, I mean, who saw that coming?
Yeah, I clearly didn't. I said I liked all 3 of those picks that you made them last week. Yeah, I also went 2-1 on the week. I won with the New Orleans Saints laying 3 in Atlanta against the Falcons. They won that game by 5. I took Sam's Jaguars getting 9.5 in Minnesota. They almost won that game outright. They lost in overtime by a field goal. I did bet on the Raiders laying the 7.5 against the Jets. You saw how that turned out.
Almost, right?
Almost. And the Jets quietly have covered in 3 of their last 4 games. They are starting to actually be a little slightly more competitive.
Very nice.
Yeah. On the year, Teen Challengers are 21, 17, and 1. So solid run out of them. I'm 25 and 14 so far this year. So I feel like I've had a good run this year.
I'd say so.
Yeah, let's get to the picks now. Let's start making them for week number 14. Will, you as the guest, you can go first. Where are you going with pick number 1?
So I'm going to take Cleveland plus 1.5 against the Ravens.
Why is that?
I think Cleveland is playing far more competitive. We've seen it in the past. You know, they're 9-3, right? 10-3, something like that now.
Yep.
So, I really love what they're doing. What Kevin Stefanski has done. That play action, amazing. That off of that run with Chubb and Hunt, and the Ravens just. I don't think they can throw the ball enough. We saw them beat the Cowboys on Tuesday night, and it was all run. There wasn't enough pass. I don't know if that defense makes enough plays, and I think this is the game Cleveland finally gets in that division.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a very fun game on Monday night because this is, I think, the biggest game in Cleveland Brown football for about, let's say, decade at least, because this is a game where I think if they win, they're going to the playoffs guaranteed because they're going to build themselves 2 up on the Ravens, and that's going to be massive for them.
Absolutely.
All right, where are you going with pick 2?
I'm going to take the Chiefs -7 against the Dolphins. I think the Chiefs are going to win this game by multiple touchdowns. Miami is they're competitive. I love what Brian Flores has done down there, but their offense is not efficient enough right now. It's very slow. It's kind of very boring to watch. And Kansas City's Kansas City. I'm surprised this number isn't bigger, to be completely honest with you.
Yeah, I think it's kind of sitting around this 7 because of the Chiefs were a little sluggish against Denver last week. But remember, Clyde Edwards-Helaire not playing that game. He had the illness in practice all week. He was active, didn't actually suit up. And this is one where you look at Tua and, like, he's not keeping pace with Patrick Mahomes. They're going to run up and down the field, the Chiefs, and they're going to up lots of points. This is like a 2-touchdown win, so I like that pick from you.
Yep. And then I'll round it out here with my third pick. Dallas -3.5 against the Bengals. I like what I saw from Dallas against the Ravens. Andy Dalton looks far more comfortable. Got CeeDee Lamb far more involved. Michael Gallup making plays. Cooper was involved. Elliott looks better. I know they had a long layoff, but I don't think Cincinnati's competitive enough, especially without Joe Burrow under center. I know Dallas is banged up. Dallas has their own issues, but I think Dallas is going to win this game by at least, that number, if not a little bit more.
Yeah, I think also the revenge game for Andy Dalton's a nice factor here because he wants to stick it to the Bengals for trading him.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, I'm up now. Pick number 1. This is the 3rd week in a row I'm going with these guys. They've covered both times. I have 4-1 I've taken them this year so far. I'm taking the New Orleans Saints again, laying the 7 against the Eagles in Philadelphia. I know they switched quarterback this week. Jalen Hurts is starting. It's not going to matter. Drew Brees could be back this week. Even if he's not, New Orleans defense is legit. The Eagles are a complete disaster. They're going to get run up and down the field on. This could get very ugly in Philly on Sunday. And again, the odds makers don't respect the Saints enough. This is a line that should be closer to 10 in my opinion. I'm getting 7, so I'm going to lay the touchdown with the Saints, pick 1.
Very nice.
Yeah, they are the team of my picks this year. Number 2, I'm going to take a dog here. I'm going to take the Washington football team, getting 3.5 in Glendale against the Niners. And obviously, this line shifted a bit. It started out with 5.5-point favorites on the Niners. It's gone 2 in Washington's direction. I'm still getting the hook, which I love, and I think that defense is solid. The Niners, we saw them get exposed badly. This is a neutral site game, so they shouldn't really have the home field bump. Washington's been playing better lately. Give me the football team getting 3.5, pick 2.
I like that pick.
That's pick number 2. Pick number 3. I'm going to take a team that they're not laying a lot on the road. It's mostly a pick against the home team. I'm taking the Texans laying 1.5 in Chicago against the Bears. And that team is going to go into absolute free fall right now because they've got Mitchell Trubisky fumble away the game against the Bears. This team's lost against the Lions on Sunday. They've lost 6 in a row. This team is basically dead men walking. The Texans have been playing very well of late. They've gone 4-4 since Romeo Crennel's taken over as the head coach. They're playing inspired football. Deshaun Watson nearly won last week. He didn't fumble on the goal line. Only at 1.5. Basically have to win on the road. I think they can do that. So I'm going to take the Texans, laying the 1.5. We pick number 3.
Very nice.
And to reset the picks here, Will has gone with the Chiefs, laying 7 points in Miami against the Dolphins. The Dallas Cowboys, Andy Dalton going back to Cincinnati, laying 3.5 to beat the Bengals. And the Browns getting 1.5 at home as underdogs on Monday Night Football against the Baltimore Ravens. I'm going with the Saints again, laying 7 in Philadelphia against the Eagles. The Washington football team getting 3.5 in Glendale against the 49ers. And last but not least, the Houston Texans laying 1.5 in Chicago against the Bears. Those are your picks for week number 14 on the podcast. Coming up next week on the picks, my good buddy Justin Diaz talking New York Giants football. And as we're recording today, they just got flexed into primetime next week.
Yes.
Playing the Cleveland Browns, a big football game.
Yeah, excited. Really excited, honestly. That's going to be, who thought that was going to be flexed in, right?
Yeah, and they flexed the Cowboys out. You know something has to go very, very wrong for Dallas to get pulled out of primetime.
Yeah, I can't watch another Dallas Cowboys primetime game. Let's be honest.
Well, now you don't have to.
Yeah, let's. If I'm the Cowboys and the Cowboys fan, let's just reset. Hope Dak comes back healthy next year.
Yeah, and fire Mike Nolan while you're at it.
Yeah, that defense, man. I tell you, I really like what they do down there. But that defense, my gosh, too talented to be ripped apart like that. Seriously.
Yeah, they absolutely are. Will, thanks for all the time. I really appreciate it. Before I let you go, people probably on social media keep up with your podcast.
Yeah, so on social media, at Will Schneiderhan H1. And my podcast is the Green Skies Podcast. You can find it on Anchor FM. Phillips, Mike, you referred me to that. Thank you. Love it. And I share that link on my social media. I have it in my bio. And I try to get a podcast episode out each week. It's been a little tough sledding here. Kind of dealing with some like cold stuff, my throat, some stuff. But I got episodes on there, trying to keep them coming. So if you want to listen to me talk about some Jets football and some other NFL and fantasy stuff, yeah, definitely give that a listen. Green Skies. Love it. Thanks, Mike.
No problem. Props to you, though, for starting the Jet-related podcast the year 0-12.
I know, man. Couldn't have picked it at a better time.
Yeah, absolutely. And before I let you go, one more question here. Any thoughts on why the Mets haven't found a GM yet?
I just think it's going to play it slow because you got Sandy there. He knows what he's doing. And I just think Steve Cohen, I don't think they want to rush into anything. In my honest opinion, I know some people are really up in arms about it. I'm honestly not. You got a guy who's done it before, so he can run the show until things get more shored up and there's a candidate that they absolutely want.
Yeah, indeed. And I have my thoughts on that as well. Let's come up in the 2-minute drill right after this.